gas facility. Okay, everything that we had asked for before, and I probably should get the copies out, the Lions willing to comply with, and the only thing that we talked about last time, so let me dig my paperwork out here. Well, everything that we asked about, as far as external hydrants, the fire road, everything that we asked about was, they had an answer for it and they were willing to comply with it. And then last month, at our last month's meeting, it was brought up, we had another lady speak and they asked about an environmental impact statement to be made. Well, as I learned more about that, not that it would be an issue, the considerable amount of time and money that's involved in it, what the attorney found out, I've been in touch with Tim about this, if the state sets guidelines for what they have to do, and with the modeling and how this plant is put together, they said it's the tier 2, the township can't sit here and make higher demands. No, I want a full environmental impact statement. We can't make that demand if it's not required by the state. It's kind of like the township overruling the state, and that don't fly. So, so that wasn't happening. They met all the state requirements. We're not legally allowed to, we can do whatever we want at this point. But if they've met all the state guidelines and did everything that they did, from a planning and zoning committee, the only reason we could deny a conditional use is if we had solid ground to stand on. If we say, nope, we don't want it, everything that we've asked for, they've met, they've complied with, there's not a lot that we can do. And they found this out in, other places that have challenged it. It's not gonna work hard. So Tim Lindau had drafted up a conditional use, if you guys know, compliance, okay.
You're on G, Tony.
Yep, compliance with, all right. All vehicles and equipment traveling to and from the property shall comply with all weight limits and road bans which apply to West Beloit Rock, Town Line Road, and any other agreed upon town roads used in connection with the operation. Within 9 months following the completion of construction, as determined by the town building instructor, the recipient shall replace and resurface those portions of Dugan Road extending from Town Line Road north to the northernmost driveway entrance of the property. Recipients shall maintain a performance bond until all substantial completion of construction for the benefit of the town in the amount of no less than $1 million to assure that Dugan Road is repaired in accordance with the provisions of this permit. There's your road bonding. Okay. Said performance bond shall be in form reasonably satisfactory to the town attorney and filed with the town clerk, and shall provide that if the town shall declare the owner to be in default under these provisions, this conditional use permit as to the road repairs or resurfacing obligations, the surety shall be obligated to remedy the default to the extent of the bond. Basically, they're gonna bond it, and if they say it's not their fault, we have an insurance policy that says it's gonna get fixed up to $1 million. The recipient shall prepare a spill prevention plan complying with the United States Environmental Protection Agency and the Wisconsin Department of Natural Resources standards, and file the same with the town clerk. And those are things that they would have to comply with anyway. The recipient shall file with the town clerk upon the written request copies of any and all inspections and reports pertaining to the LNG facility, as well as copies of any and all responses and action plans the recipient prepares in correction with those inspection reports. And that one there we put upon written request, because we didn't have that part in there before on the preliminary one, and according to the Alliant, there'd be so many reports and inspections that are done on a daily, weekly, monthly basis, you know, the record keeping and stuff that they have to go through if they file everything with us. We go buy a copy paper. But if there's anything that should raise upon our request, they will make all those reports available to us. Recipient shall make all necessary arrangements for the use and crossing of the public roadways with the state, county, and highway departments as necessary. Town officials shall be permitted reasonable access to the LNG facility site before, during, and after construction for the purposes of inspection, monitoring, and compliance verification. Such access shall be coordinated with the recipient. Wisconsin Power and Light. Recipient shall maintain fencing around the LNG facility to prevent larger animals and unauthorized individuals from gaining access to the facility. Such fencing shall be kept in a neat and clean manner. The recipient shall maintain all facilities and accessories in manner to preserve the aesthetics of the property, including, but not limited to, not allowing equipment to deteriorate or maintained in a state of disrepair within the view of the public or the adjoining landowners. The recipient shall notify the town board if any changes are made regarding the operation of the facility, including quantity, location, and type of materials stored on the site. The recipient shall release, indemnify, and hold harmless the town of Rock, town board, and its agents and employees from all liabilities, claims, demands, and cause of action, costs, or losses for personal injuries, property damage, or loss of life or property as a result of construction or operation of the facility. The recipient shall be made responsible for all attorney fees and other costs incurred by the town of Rock in updating this conditional use permit. If the LNG facility is decommissioned or abandoned, the recipient shall return the site to pre-construction condition, including the removal of all above-ground and below-ground facilities. The property, which is the subject of this condition, is parcel number 6. The rest of that's just a legal description. And that pretty much goes through everything that we had talked about. One thing that we did ask about, that they did say, is hydrants. They plan on having hydrants on their facility, and it says the project can provide 1 or 2 hydrants outside the facility. Outside of the facility project fence located at one or both ends off Town Line Road for use. If there is already a planned fire loop and the hydrants inside the facility, preliminary drawing shared, so that they would do that, and that was the only thing, like, we don't need it for anything that they got on site. It's to protect everything around them from getting to where they're at.
Do we need to put that specifically in the conditional use?
No, that's part of, I asked that for, Tim, if we have to specifically spell that out, and that would be, what's that?
Have to spell out what?
Hydrants,
Oh.
adding hydrants. That's something that we will work with them on their construction. They already said they'd be willing to do it, but as far as what's required and everything, that would be, we would involve the town of Beloit. I mean, they could put a hydrant outside their fence, but if it ain't where no one can add it, it's useless to them and useless to us or whatever. But, between the fire departments and stuff, that would be something that's really, I don't know where you need a hydrant and how far, I don't know how big the tankers are. I'm not a firefighter, that's outside our jurisdiction. I mean, as far as planning and zoning goes, but it's something we can ask for, it's something that they said that they'd already be willing to do.
I didn't see anything in there on the lighting either.
Lighting would come under, the thing, we have a noise ordinance. We have a noise ordinance, we've got every ordinance
It's
in
under
there.
C.
What's that?
It's under C. It's blanketed under the town of Rock zoning ordinance, so it's blanketed.
C?
under that. Yeah, I think what the intent is.
No, actually, he actually, I wanna say J. Yeah, it would be, cause I know Tim had talked about that, we asked about it, and they already said that they'd be willing to do it, but that would fall under DOT guidelines, I believe. Can't have the light shining in somebody's eyes when they're driving down the road. That would be part of the,
It's under the performance standards, section 13.
does it actually say on lighting and on our performance standard? Cause I know I addressed that with Tim.
Exposed sources of light shall be shielded so as to not be visible outside the premises.
And that's under our section 13 where we have our noise ordinance and everything?
Yeah,
Okay, so it's already covered, that's covered under
should be. Okay.
part of our ordinances, okay? Do you guys get any questions?
On number N, I think, so this one states, shall maintain all facilities and accessory in a manner to preserve the aesthetics of the property, including but not limited to, not allowing equipment to deteriorate or remain in a state of repair within the view of the public or adjoining landowners. I do think there's merit to what she's suggesting around aesthetically pleasing. This is just making sure they don't let anything deteriorate the property in general. I wouldn't hate being able to add some vegetation, some other stuff, maybe to around the surrounding of the property to kind of bring the look up, but I don't know if that's something we can add to that, because it's very subjective, I guess, of like what that is specifically, other than trees, shrubbery, whatever it might be.
Well, I think you need to ask Alliant, does that affect the engineering behind it? Does that
Correct,
create
that was my
any,
other question.
Well-
does that create any airflow changes or do anything to?
Well, then not only that, then if you're making a requirement of that, I mean, anybody in an industrial environment would be, we're gonna make them do the same run. Every industrial place that goes to the nutrient ag one, and we say, no, you gotta build a berm, build some trees around it so I can't see it. You can have it, but I don't wanna look at it. I mean, it's zoned in the industrial zone is.
Correct.
And it's kinda where we can ask for it.
What do I think, Tony, if they're not using all that property, there are 15 years, there's gonna be a ton of small trees out there. Do you plan on keeping it mowed out, the property that's not being built on?
So currently the discussion is outside of the facility itself, possibly allowing the farmer to continue to use it for agricultural purposes, which would be twofold, right? Being a good neighbor, number one. Number two, allow the farmer to continue to maintain his crops, which allows Alliant to have minimal brush hogging. They don't do any of that stuff, correct? So there is discussion on that, and I do believe, I'm not gonna say yes, it will happen, but that is the path that we're looking at with that.
But as far as us making a requirement, it's an industrial property. You know,
They have a berm on the south side of there, and with trees on it around the power plant on the south side of it. Where those houses are in the back.
oh yeah, they got,
It's a huge berm and it's got trees planted on it, so they didn't have a problem there doing it, I guess.
I mean, I know it's an industrial area, but it's also smack dab in the middle of several residential areas too. And living across the street from the original Alliant Energy Center, all I see across the street from me now looks like storage for ramping up for like, there's wire and whatever else
Sure.
out in the field. So I mean, it would be more aesthetically pleasing maybe to and to be a good neighbor, or, you know, having the farmer keeping his fields or whatever that might look like.
But there's no crops in the winter.
Right, so, I mean, I do understand, you know, that, just because I do live there, you know, so yes, okay, it's an industrial area, but I live in a residential area, and there's a residential area directly next to it and across the street from it.
Your house is like 1.1 miles away from it.
0.9,
But there's a bike trail right next to it.
right.
Yeah, that's true. I get it, but
I'm not saying require, but I mean, is it a request that we could make? Is it
Yeah,
something that?
absolutely.
Alliant volunteered when they put that second plant up in discussions to put the berm out front to try to contain noise.
on the
Best
south
that
side
they
of the
could.
back.
They volunteered that, so I would think here, it wouldn't be a big deal. I mean, it doesn't hurt to put something down in paper, but at times they do try to be a good neighbor, and that was one of them.
Right, they can find part of West Side, you know, West Riverside. There's beautiful bike trails back there. It's like, again, could we be a good neighbor?
They seemed receptive to doing anything that they can do, but as far as what we put in writing here and make it binding, you didn't plant enough trees, so I'm revoking your conditional use permit. I'd like to know how that would play out.
Yeah, and that's why I was asking about.
You know what I'm saying? What we ask for and what we want, you know, our wish is anything that they would do. I mean, I think we can, and they're willing to work with us on a lot of this, but what we can actually put as binding, if I require that, every piece, I mean, nutrient ag going in, that's water under the dam, but anything, all that M1 land, that's all industrial land. It's been sold like that since '82. Every industrial property goes in there is gonna be held to the same aesthetics, and we're gonna make them all build a berm around. What would it cost to build a berm around that place? Let's just talk a small one, 10 feet high, 20 feet high, that's only several thousand truckloads. But you know what I'm saying? If I require that of them, it's gonna be required of everybody.
So essentially trees.
Because otherwise you're prejudicing yourself, you can't do it.
So like the fire hydrants, we can ask, what can we do to work with us on adding it, because N kind of covers that some, but not specifically stating what specifically has to be done, it just states what is setting for pleasing, but.
I'm all for it, I tell you what, if they build a big berm around the whole thing, that would kinda drive me nuts, I couldn't be able to see it when I drive by, how am I gonna keep track of what's going on there? Well, you know what I'm saying, people are nosy, and I ain't no different.
Yeah, but the berms aren't that high, they're just enough to knock some of it down. I mean, I think you could do it something simple like, I mean, they've been claiming they wanna be a good neighbor to us because we live there. I don't know who up here does, but we all live there. And they, you know, like I said, with the other power plant they did it, I guarantee you nothing was written, it was just in a public meeting, people were talking about it, in fact, me. And they did it. So you might not have to put anything down, but maybe some note could be sent to line, say, hey, look, the neighbors wanna be good neighbors with you and you with us. Can you do something like that for them? At least offer the opportunity.
You know,
don't have to
if we
document
even
it,
made a
make it
simple
so
little request
political.
like that, I mean, am I talking to a giant machine, a line utility, it's like, I mean, I'm talking to you guys, and you guys know
Like
more than a
giants,
number
yeah.
on there, you know what I'm saying? Does it really, how do you make something like that even hit home, or is it even something worth discussing, or how do we?
No, that's a good question, Chairman. The way that we would normally have gone about this is during public comment, so we could have taken it back to our engineers, because immediately I'm thinking it's a fire hazard, having trees and berms next to this, where it's supposed to be flat area, so it just disperses. But, you know, just a bunch of immediate red flags pop up, but to the point of being a good neighbor, it's something we could bring back, but I wouldn't want to hold this up for the fact of, oh, let's put it in, but wait, that's something we can't do, or the state won't allow it, but we could entertain the conversation,
And that was gonna be
absolutely.
the next question, was even if you do request, what is restricted based on how you actually have to lay out that land?
Correct.
For that.
Correct.
Well, yes, sir.
Could there, or would there be any type of real-time air monitoring that would be accessible by, the internet for the community as well?
No, you won't see that on the internet. That would, they take all their sampling, they do all their testing, and that goes back to, the one that, upon the town's request, we will have that information available to us. But the one reason we put upon our written request is because the amount of testing that's done in those facilities, that they have to keep track of everything in, out, testing, burning, everything that burns, the testing that goes off on that. There's records, so if the state should ever step in and come, I mean, they're shorthanded like everybody else. They better have everything in there, all their logbooks, everything right there. And if the township should ever question what's going on there, we should be able to have everything, and they'll provide that. But it's done so often that, like they said, it'd be 1,000 pages a month. Our
You
clerk would
request
get.
it like once a month, just to kind of see if there's any trends, just to keep people posted? That would be minimal amount of data, I would think.
Is that plant less volatile than the two power plants that are there now? Whatever it expels, is it gonna be less than the two power plants? Just out of curiosity.
Oh, the stuff out of the smokestacks?
Yes.
Oh my gosh, way less.
And on the incineration of the volatiles and the nasty stuff, at 1,000 degrees, is that gonna be a shit ton of noise? That will be completely.
We have a more standard, we have to follow the DNR and the town rock as well.
But it doesn't work for the people around, because you can hear it all. You can hear it all. If it's louder than that, it's just.
Part of the issue is that, I don't know what Tom Boyd has for a noise ordinance or that, or part of that power plant was there years and years ago. I mean, the one that they tore down, decommissioned, the one everything out. Right.
I'm still
Yeah.
waiting to hear back from the town of Beloit about my complaint, so I don't know.
Yeah, I don't know what I did hear what it was, but I don't remember anymore.
But they've actually got it spelled out in decibels, and the plant that we went, the big enormous compressor, that I couldn't wrap my head around that. I'm an electrician by trade, and they're talking a 12,000 volt motor, three-phase motor, 150,000 horsepower, or whatever, 15,000 horsepower. It's just, I couldn't wrap my head around that, but it's encapsulated in the building, and they're required by, if I stand out at the property line, they got decibels that they gotta maintain, and we have an ordinance.
The thing about those sounds is they're permanent and ongoing. It's not like having a party and people partying.
Yeah.
It's every day, all the time. I mean, 100 days on the compressor out there.
Ooh, I don't-
Time, that's gonna escalate up.
See, that's another thing, it's not a facility that runs all the time.
No, I
They take
know,
in-
I heard what was explained, but.
How long would it take you guys to fill that?
Approximately 100 days, and then it stands idle 2/3 of the year.
Unless the demand.
Once, yeah,
Unless it's used.
100 days to fill it. Once it's filled, it has a very, very slow depletion rate unless they're actually using it or whatever. So that's, after the initial, it's full right now today as we speak.
So you're saying.
How
that
often
it
do
will
you
never
guys gotta run and
run
replenish that?
anything?
Probably not much this time of year at all.
It depends, like,
That's
if
going to
we
be
use 10% of
And that's when the.
what's in
that's
there,
when the
it'll
chiller
take
is going
10%
like
of 100 days.
Yeah, so I mean, once it's filled, it's,
So obviously the initial's gonna be 100 days, but it's gotta fill.
Right.
But then after that, it's based on certain people.
it's kinda like your emergency fund, you don't stock that
No, no,
up and then
I
go use it,
understand.
you know what I'm saying? I mean, it's there when
It's
you
a,
need
it's a
it,
tank with
dip
the
into it,
to
but
be
you're not
used,
using it
and,
every
you know,
day.
it
It's
has.
not really-
it has
But is there a way to
purpose.
revisit that should the necessity to use it increase and fill it happen more often? Or, you know, is there a way for us to go back and revisit that should that initial estimate change?
If there's a violation of the, anything that would violate the conditional use permit would allow us a chance to revisit it, which would be, well, not going into construction outside, failure to comply with any state, I mean, if we would get notified right away if the state did a surprise inspection and found you guys were in violation of anything. First person they're gonna contact is our town chair and our town board. That would make this whole thing null and void. If they're actually using it, if there's a noise, issue, and you say, yeah, that thing's making racket 24/7, I can't sleep, or whatever, then I mean, we'd have to see how it complies. If they're violating the noise ordinance, that would be cause for concern. And yes, sir?
What, environmental problem would we have if the plant started leaking? Go on the ground, and I mean, if you're gonna put fire hydrants there, you must be glad, long enough to squirt water at it.
No. The fire hydrants are strictly to protect the facilities and everything else there. This stuff here, liquid propane, LP, you got one on your gate. If that were to leak out, you wouldn't put, I mean, it vaporizes. If that thing were to spill, by the time it would be vaporized gas by the time it got to the property line. And it's not, the liquid is not explosive. It's kind of like you heard you can't burn gasoline, it's the fumes that burn. It's much the same thing, only on a greater level. It's not the liquid.
Can it explode?
No, it has to vaporize to explode. I mean, there has to be a contained vaporization. And if there's a spill, that's gonna get vaporized and eradicated. I mean,
There has been an explosion at a LNG plant in the United States.
oh my gosh, there's probably been explosions at nuclear plants, coal-fired facilities. I mean, every catastrophic thing that you could present to me right now, I would say, yes, it's possible. But I don't, after seeing this, and the more I learn about it, the more I'm not, there's a catastrophic incidence for every circumstance you can present to this board. But we're not, I mean, we're dealing with being the neighbors, getting production, doing what they can, and I honestly can't. People, I think the big public outcry was, this is the step one. We got a data center, and everybody screams bloody murder about a data center. This is not related to the data center, and all the same people screaming bloody murder about a data center carry one on their hip, you know? And the data centers of years ago that use all the water, people are concerned about water, and when you talk about closed, I don't even wanna get into the discussion on data centers right now, because it's totally unrelated, but the people that are crying about this are, you know, to me, it's hypocritical without.
Well, it is.
If I ask you a question, first thing you're gonna do is Google it. I'll tell you what, get rid of data centers, you ain't Googling nothing, Google Maps, you ain't doing nothing, Facebook, Instagram, TikTok don't exist. None of that stuff does.
Everybody knows that.
And the technology of the old days is gone, but this has absolutely nothing to do.
No, but the point is, it's becoming an industrial area, and it does have something to do with it.
You know what, this is the
Maybe not
equivalent
at
of,
this moment, but it will help drive that.
in an agricultural township that we live in, this is the equivalent of a corn bin.
Yeah, I don't see it that way.
That's exactly what it is. Those farmers stockpile that corn till the price gets right, and then they
I
get rid of it.
yeah,
And that's
I get
exactly
that
what it
analogy.
is. It's a corn bin for the utility.
And the corn dryer runs 100 days out of the year.
And a corn dryer,
We'll see 5 years from now. I've watched it grow out there, and, you know, I got nothing against these guys.
yeah,
I moved out there, but I didn't know it was gonna turn into an industrial area.
it was an industrial area before you moved there.
Well, it wasn't, not to the extent that you had a coal.
It was
mine.
zoned that there.
Yeah.
Right, no, I get
Yeah.
it, because I know that tractor company was gonna, you know, move out there, but I figured after that, not. I mean, I'm just bitching on my part.
No,
because
no,
I'm the
I
guy
totally
living
get
with
it. And nobody likes it. I don't like this whole AI world we live in. I don't like that any better than the next person. It drives me nuts. And as far as you guys and your LNG, why don't you locate it someplace where it doesn't bother me? And then how, you know, and why don't you put it someplace, I mean, what would you do? Right now, that is the most convenient spot next to the grid, next to the power plant that it serves. Why don't you put it on the old GM site? No one seems to want to do anything with that. You know, do you know what it would cost to put it there and to put it into that infrastructure? I mean, I understand that, and I think that's a real smart ass comment to make, but you know what I'm saying? It's in the right spot. They've jumped through every hoop that we've asked. We've done everything we can. We can say yes or no, and that's about where I'm about right down to right now. We either act on this or we don't. And I tell you what, we can act on it and hope we got ourselves covered. I think we covered the ground, we covered the noise, we covered everything we can. We can talk with the people on construction. I've been in close contact with the people. We can do whatever we can, and I'm sure they want to do what's right by us. But at the same time, we can say no. Go pound sand, build your LNG project someplace else where they don't want it either, you know? And what happens? And I'll tell you what exactly will happen. We'll end up probably getting sued. Go ahead, speak freely. We'll get sued by Alliant. We turn you down.
You'll probably get sued by a business group.
Everything else. Yes, sir?
Just one thing, the railroad crossing there,
Mm-hmm.
is there any way that can get fixed? Is that lines?
You know, I tell you what, you'd have a better chance of getting Alliant to build a berm around the LNG facility. And no, because we've done this with other railroad crossings, that's federally done. That ain't the state, that ain't the county, that ain't the township, that ain't us. And that's like pulling teeth from, yeah, well, that's a good project for you to jump on, get them railroads ready. You know what I'm saying? I mean, I think we've done all that we can do. Every question we asked has been answered, and quite honestly, from the safety and the environmental standard, I'm gonna get cleaner gas at my house if they ever gotta pump it back into the system than what I'm burning right now. You know,
Can I ask a question about water?
sure.
Has water been addressed at all? The use of water, is that any kind of a?
No,
They're not gonna be using much
no,
at
they
all.
don't, they won't
It
use,
doesn't.
no,
Sinks, toilets.
Okay,
just general purpose.
okay.
I just had a quick question. Last time when the geologist was here, we talked about that if there was a leak and it would volatilize, and that most of these have been built in places where it's warmer weather in the southern part. If it's winter time and there's like a temperature inversion, real cold temperatures, would a leak still volatilize, or would it create like a ground fog of something? Has that happened in places that you would know what it is?
Not to my knowledge.
What?
All the ones that I've built, now keep in mind, it's down to negative 232 degrees, right? Inside the tank. So therefore, there's nothing on the outside of that tank that's gonna get colder than that.
Right, but when it goes out, in warm weather, it would volatilize and rise up into the atmosphere. So
Right.
if there's cold weather, there was
That-
just a question about what would happen in the
That,
winter time.
no, that is a good point, because the warmer it gets, the faster it's gonna vaporize. But when it's 262 degrees below zero, to maintain that liquid state, anything above that, when it gets 200 degrees below zero, which I can't imagine, it's already started the vaporization process. So by the time, if there were a leak, and they have got all those preventions, the leak monitors and the shutoffs, everything, I don't think that gas could tell the difference between 30 degrees in January or 80 degrees in August. That's a 50-degree swing. But
they should know that, right?
I mean, you know what I'm saying? It's gonna vaporize, if it leaks out when it's 10 degrees, that stuff's vaporizing, maybe not as rapidly as it would at 80, but so rapidly, I mean,
Rapidly
it's
enough
260 some degrees below zero.
That before it
You think
leaves
20
that
degrees are gonna make a
property,
difference?
it'll be to a point where people aren't breathing in additional something that they wouldn't usually. Is that true? Okay, that's what I'm asking.
Yeah, it will
Okay,
go up, not out.
okay. Well, there was that conversation
That's,
last
I
time
know,
about
those are all the
being
things
the-
that's all the things that we asked, and we kind of verified that, you know, with the fire department, and, you know, and how they take care of things, you know, and it's, you know, cause they gotta worry about spread and eradication and everything else, and it's, the more I learn about it, the more I am honestly, I'm a lot more comfortable with it than I was at day one, you know?
Okay, thank you.
So, just one last question from me. Have you installed one of these in the vicinity, much like here, where you've got neighborhoods on all sides of you? And had feedback from the neighbors? Anyway? Has it been a good experience, or usually are they out in the middle of nowhere?
Chairman?
We asked that question, we went and looked at the one up at LaGrange, which is out in the middle of nowhere, which,
And it's half the size, right? It's not.
yeah, it's half the size,
I
and
just don't want
it's
a
somewhat as
Lots
isolated.
of Cracker Jacks.
The one-
That's my big fear is,
Yeah, the one in
All of a sudden.
Exonia that they did, that the town residents bought and ended up filing a suit to try to stop it, a lawsuit, and they lost for much the same reasons I was talking about earlier. And then I asked them, I said, have you had any complaints since it opened? And they've had 0 complaints.
I think you give in.
And, yeah.
At some point, you just break down and give in, that's the unfortunate part.
No, you're right, but then once it's open, I tell you what, if I had a complaint and you kicked me to the curb, and then 6 months later, my God, I was right, I tell you what, I'd scream twice as loud as you heard me before, because that's exactly what I said was gonna happen, and here it is. You know, that's the type that you would meet, and they said the ones that filed lawsuit, they've had 0 complaints with.
Gotcha.
And to me, I think it's mostly anything to do with change or anything new that people fight against. And I told these guys at the very beginning, I don't care about a data center, I don't care about an LNG project, I don't really care about any of that, you know, that's all good for whoever. Progress, you can't stop it, we're not doing that. At the end of the day, the only thing that I really am supposed to be concerned about is the town of Rock.
No, I.
And my residents.
Appreciate you letting
I
us
would not
voice you.
shit on my neighbors because it's 3 miles away from my house, and I'm glad it's not in my backyard. I'm not built that way, you know? And everything I've learned about this, I am not, my mind is more at ease than beginning. I learned more than I need to know. I'm a lot more at ease, and I tell you what, if my mother lived there, I don't think it wouldn't change my opinion
All
right
I'm
now,
gonna
and
come
I
see
haven't.
you
You do, I tell you what, and I'll.
fight you over.
No, you absolutely do that, I swear, because if I made a mistake, I'll tell you what, I'll stand up and tell you, but I don't think I am. I'm trying to do what's right for the township, what's good for the people, what's good for my
Absolutely.
neighbors, Alliant, I'm trying to do what's
I mean,
right, and I,
honestly, you guys are boxed in. You have only.
To a certain extent.
I mean, to a real degree.
we really are, but I tell you what, if I believed otherwise, I don't care if I'm boxed in or not, you'll kill me fighting from my box, that's just the way I'm put together, and I don't think I've got to fight in this game. And I tell you what, and I only care, when it's all said and done, the town of Rock, and I think we got our roads covered, number one, that's the thing I gotta wrestle with every single year, is how we're gonna pay for the roads, what roads, because everybody hates us when we don't fix their road. Our town roads, our town residents, and what we're doing it to the environment. I understand it's an industrial location, and I can say that till I'm blue in the face, and no one seems to matter anyway, but when it comes down, it's the town of Rock and its residents are really the only skin I got in the game. As far as everybody else's stuff, if they comply, and then they tell us if you met the state guidelines and everything else, you ain't got a whole lot to say, Tony, well then, I tell you what, and I understand everyone's passionate about it. I'm trying to do the right thing by the town, by Alliant. I owe just as much respect to Alliant as I do to you.
I agree.
Do you know?
I'm not arguing
And I'm
that.
trying to do what's right that way. And I think with all the time we spent with the lawyers, going with the other companies, and I tried to keep this board informed of everything I did along the way, I think we are in a good spot. You know, and not only that, nothing I noticed, so this is gonna, through the revenue sharing, what they're offering the township is a huge financial benefit. I'm not driven by that though. That's the icing on the cake. You know, I hate to sound so rude and negative, but I've done everything I can. I mean, you guys know how I sit. I always try to bend over backwards to do whatever I can for anybody that comes to this board with a complaint or an issue. And I spent a lot of time talking with you on the phone, your other partner, or whatever, this and that, meeting the fire department, this and that. And I think we've been more thorough, and the more thorough that we've been on this, the more it's. I predict a year from now, you guys won't know any different, you know? I think.
No, I appreciate that you've allowed Boyd Township to be part of this, because you don't have to. We can come in here and say, you can tell us to shut up, but.
No, but we need the education ourselves, you know? I can't blindly follow, you know? And I hope the board's understands everything that I did and everything we went through. And I tell you what, if you guys got any questions or concerns, you've heard everyone's concerns, and you've seen how Alliant has addressed them with our I call them superficial ones, but all the ones that we have outlined in here, that they said they met anything that we asked them from a township. Our roads are protected. And then above and beyond that, as far as environmental safety, our hands are tied there. And they've met all the standards from the state and everything. Do you see anything else that we're missing? Do we have, okay, if you don't see anything else we're missing, can you give me a piece of rock solid ground that I could deny this? Not I, we. If we had some rock solid ground that we could actually deny this, I mean, you're not gonna stop progress. I'll tell you what, us five little guys ain't gonna do that. But if we had something substantial to go with, I tell you what, I'd fight for you guys. I got nothing to fight with.
I get a personal paycheck like once a month from the Lions come out. I'd be more willing to say, okay.
Every man has his rights. Well, I make a motion that we approve the conditional use permit as presented, contingent upon the addition of that one sentence we added in under J that says, town of Beloit compliance with the energy management system with the town of Beloit. I don't know what the energy management system is, but that's between them. They just wanted to have they're the fire department that's gonna serve you guys.
Tony, when you said energy management, I think you're talking about their emergency management plan.
Yeah. I'm losing it, Tim, I'm losing it. No, emergency management, correct. Town of Beloit's in compliance with the emergency management plan for the town of Beloit. And that was also the same thing that City of Janesville, we all met with all the guys there, and they all were on the same page. I mean, as far as training, the fire department, I was actually surprised, they already knew more about it than we did. You know, as far as training, well, that's their job, you know, but, if we can put that one line in there, I'll make a motion that we approve this as presented by the attorneys.
Second.
I got a motion, and a second. There's no further discussion, all in favor? Aye. All opposed? Motion carried. David, I will contact our attorney